Just under a year ago, I decided to cover a Roblox ARG that you're all familiar with now, Seildirectory. An ARG that puzzled many people with its confusing storyline. At the time of creation, I didn't have the best experience. I put off making a sequel for so long because of that. Well, now, it's back. Here's how this series will work. There will be multiple videos of me covering this series. Each video will cover what happened within a couple of months. The reason why I did this was not for the money or the views. I want to cover everything, and I mean everything. For those who aren't familiar with Seildirectory, I recommend watching my video from last year or this quick summary of it. Without further ado, let's dive right into the lore of Seildirectory. I hope you all enjoy. On February 26th of 2024, a video simply titled Seal was uploaded to the YouTube channel Seildirectory. The main character, who was nameless at the time, but the name is later to be revealed as Jake Colohan, says that the purpose of the channel is to archive the things created by the Roblox user named Seal, who is supposedly Jake's uncle, with whom he lost contact with. Jake archives the first game using the hard drives, Snowball Brawl 1, created in 2008 by Seal, but after the first test run, Jake already finds something wrong with the game. A user can be seen, but the video glitches and ends. The next entry shows a user, who is later to be revealed as Sean, the supposed uncle, over a computer, saying that he never left in the first place, contrary to what Jake said in the first entry about his disappearance. The next entry shows Sean attempting to speak to Jake, wanting him to leave him alone and let him die. The entry after this, named Genesis, is how everything started. Sean wakes up and sees the Spawn logo by the name of Medulla. This happened a decade earlier. When Sean ran into this Medulla entity, he was forced to create a fork of the other box, which may have been a project that Sean has been working on at the time that Medulla could use, which can explain the logo that we can see. Sean was then killed and became trapped within the computer's hard drives. You see the problem here? Jake is using the hard drives to archive Sean's work on the Seal account and is actively keeping him alive. Jake continues to archive more, and we get a glimpse into the next game, Sail the High Seas, but we don't get a link to it just yet. The next video after this is supposedly a lucid dream from Sean. It's known that Sean is half conscious and half dreaming in something called a nil space, and Sean comes into consciousness in the middle of it. In a couple of entries after this, there are various images that are shown, one being of a home taken in 2008. This is supposedly Jake's childhood home. Sean hadn't disappeared around this time, so these could be a way to prove to Jake that this is the real Sean. The entry Pulse in the boards shows Jake finding a really weird brick in the game and showing things you have to translate. Mainly the line, "Do I continue to be your hostage, Jake?" stands out. The next entry shows Jake giving an update regarding Sail the High Seas. The next entry shows notes from Sean talking about the lucid dreaming he's been dealing with. After this, a video about the main music for Sail the High Seas was uploaded, with Jake asking Clyde, Directory User 1, at the end of the video to call him. The next entry is that call. Clyde talks about how Rebecca, Directory User 2, had an NPC that was supposedly Sean talking with her. Jake doesn't know what he's talking about. The next entry shows a link to the game Homesick, where we can find a grave with Sean's name on it. It says, "Ridiculed by Jake C," most likely because he was making a situation public for everyone to see. We then get a link to Sail the High Seas. This is a huge game with many different areas to go through. We can also find video IDs. The first ID takes us to a video where Rebecca discovers a cipher in the game's code. This is Sean trying to get to Rebecca. The next video ID takes us to a video of what Clyde mentioned earlier, the Sean NPC talking to Rebecca. The next video ID takes us to a video of Sean begging to be set free from this glass prison, showing images of where he was trapped as well. In Sail the High Seas, there's a section where you can hear Sean talking to us on the phone. He reveals that the spawn around his head is there to represent the torture he endured from Medulla and his failed suicide attempts to leave this state. Sean also mentions us, and we're too quick to assume the story with as little content as possible. That's not our fault. After Sail the High Seas, we get a video ID. This video takes place during the events of the game. The name Streisand holds a lot of importance. Streisand means wanting to remove and hide something from reaching the public. Sean did this for many years, but after Jake decided to do this archiving business, everything Sean was dealing with is in the public eye now. Yeah. Sorry, Sean. Anyways, right after Sean stabs himself in the eye, he officially gets the spawn ring that we've all seen before. More on this later though. In the first memory capture video, we get to see two users. One named JKC Spartan is Jake, and Beats Per Minute, who is Sean. We see Eyes of Facel's or Aubrey as well. They're talking about Facel's situation at the moment, and at the time, Facel's had just begun being truly harassed by JX1-DX1, and with all that, you're caught up. The story of Seildirectory from memory capture and back has been a huge rabbit hole, but as we already know, the rabbit hole goes deeper and deeper and deeper. Let's begin, shall we? Like I said, each video in this series will cover a couple of months. In this video, we'll cover what happened in a little bit of December, as well as the whole month of January and February. So let's get right into the first event since my last analysis on this channel, which was channel intro. The video is from Jake on his new channel, Jake Colahan. We'll see why he's on this new channel later on in the entry. He came up with this video idea while going on a walk, and we soon come to find that Jake lost access to the Seildirectory YouTube channel. The password was mysteriously changed for him, but Jake says that wouldn't have been a massive issue if it weren't for the fact that after posting Sail the High Seas, his laptop completely exploded. He's able to turn it on, but he just can't access anything on it. He just says he'll make a video showing proof of this. He also mentions something pretty big about the Seildirectory channel as a whole. He says it was a personal project that he had a couple of friends, Clyde and Rebecca, work on, but the whole idea of archiving games by his uncle on Roblox is false. It was a story to just mess around, as he explains, but it was most likely to get more people interested in the series. But what I don't understand is why he uses uncle instead of just using his friend. I know they're friends because of the memory capture video, which could be another reason to why Sean isn't happy with him. He didn't honor his legacy too well with this channel. He also says that after Snowball Brawl 1 was made, a lot of personal stuff began happening. He has his theories to what happened, which he won't get into detail about. After that, that's everything Jake talks about in this video. Following this, we receive additional posts from Rebecca on her Tumblr account. She made a lot of posts that we can look at. Here are some of the key points to note. Rebecca says that she's guilty for not believing Sean at first in the Convergence video. She also wonders how Sean can make instant changes to the code, like in the Contact video. Rebecca says Sean may have a lot more power than he realizes. He made 2 games appear on her profile. These 2 games are Homesick and Directory User's Place. We also see a screenshot that Rebecca is playing Sail the High Seas, but she says nothing has happened for a while. All she did was just play the game normally. After leaving and trying again later that afternoon, she begins to experience the game as we all know it. But after she goes into the portal to the second area, something happened. She claims that she saw Sean and he spoke to her. She was then kicked and unable to join the game back. We'll get footage of this later. Rebecca says that when this happened, she was begging to help him, but Sean kept on claiming, "You can't help me," and said, "I'm sorry." It was after that when she was kicked. Someone suggested the idea that she take a break from everything and rest, but she says that she'd rather get drunk and a party instead. And with that, that's all of these Tumblr posts. Also around this time, a post from Seildirectory in the Roblox web series server was made. The title is Happy Holidays, showing Clyde, Rebecca, and Jake, and the person blocked out is Sean, but turning up the brightness of the image, we'll see an Imgur link at the top left. It takes us to an image. On the left, it reads, "This place keeps changing. I'm not worried about it. Not in any way. I'm always open to change. Nostalgia is both a blessing and a curse. Love's good. Hold it close. In the new changes, a console might be the one to reveal something." By the contents of the image, it refers to a console. Well, at this time, opening the console, you can see some messages. They read, "Personal note. I hope everyone enjoys this game, even if I don't. A pirate always gets their goods night's rest before sailing. Be sure to do that." No clue what that means, but it seems like we'll be getting something big in the future. I mean, I already know because, like, I was there for it, so yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first meeting in the video. This is one out of 160 pages in the master list. 160 pages of talking. Why do I do this to myself? Anyways, this meeting includes the following characters, Jake and Rebecca, and they are in Rebecca's place. For each meeting that happens in this series, I'll cover the important aspects and anything that sounds interesting, and maybe even characters saying dumb stuff, like you'll see soon. Let's look at this meeting. Jake says he's surprised that Rebecca is still conscious right now after the Christmas party that happened. Rebecca did say she'd drink a lot in the TUMBLR post. Jake wonders how the party was because he left early, and Rebecca says, oh wait, she didn't even respond to that. Jake also wonders why a lot of people are joining the game. Jackson 1222, an in-game viewer, brings up that Sean has access to the Seildirectory channel, and both of them know that already. This seems to be the personal reason that Jake wouldn't mention in the channel intro entry. We also get to see Rebecca let Jake know that Sean spoke to her while playing Sail the High Seas. Jake says he's not surprised, but Jake says at this point, he doesn't even consider Sean as a real person anymore because he's been acting more and more deranged as time goes on, and the real Sean would have given up by now. The emotions Sean is feeling aren't human, and he wouldn't feel bad just cutting him off altogether. But Rebecca says that Sean told him that he feels pain and he misses her. They continue to argue about the situation they're in. After Rebecca says she'll investigate the situation herself, Jake replies, I'm sure that's gonna go great. Have a bunch of theorists and strangers led by you to have a therapy session with what is basically amounts to an AI at this point. Jake exclaims that Sean obviously wants something, and Rebecca replies, my point is, you don't just blow up a house with a hostage in it like the Russians do. Are we serious? After this, Jake leaves, and that's the end of the first meeting. It seems like Jake doesn't want to admit what has happened. Basically, Jake believes that this isn't the real Sean, and Rebecca believes that this is the real Sean. So they're having disagreements because of this. Let's go ahead and move on. We are now in the month of January, and I just want to say now, there is a lot of content in this month, and I will try my best to explain everything fluently. Let's go right ahead and see what January has in store for the Seildirectory ARG. The first entry we get in January is computer problems, uploaded to the Jake Colahan channel. Jake did mention something about his laptop not working properly, and he'd make a video on that in the future, so here we are. He starts the video by saying that in this video, he'll explain why he hasn't been active recently, and it's because of, well, as the Masterless explains, bricked a laptop. That's the only note for this video, by the way. I do want you all to pay attention to the opening words of this video.
Hi, so a lot of people recently have been asking me why I haven't been online.
He also mentions that people don't seem to believe him. To prove this, he turns on the laptop, and this is what we can see. The laptop is having issues, and Jake ends the video by saying,
I guess today wasn't a good day either.
At first glance, this video doesn't seem to hold that much info, but the next entry on the channel changes everything, and it only gets more interesting from here. We finally get our first upload to the Seildirectory channel, but to understand what's going on here, we first have to look back, all the way back to the XXIII entry. This was the entry where Sean stabs himself in the eye, and well, this video is the aftermath. And if you remember, I told you guys to pay attention to the opening words of the last video. Thinking of that, going into this video, you'll hear something familiar. This video takes place at the same time of the computer problems video. The video starts with similar ambience to the XXIII entry. We can see something standing in the distance. It seems to be Sean because of the spawn above their head. In the next shot, we can see Sean again, this time with blood from where he inserted the blade, and more versions of Sean behind him. The next shot is a close-up of Sean. Blood is pooling down his head. The spawn symbol that we know him as officially takes form in this video, shining brightly, but then we can hear something hit the ground. We then see someone's arm with the Spawn logo on the hand. After this, we get another shot of who this is, but it's not just one person, it's 3 users. They suddenly appeared after Sean officially got his Spawn ring. One begins to crouch, and the video suddenly ends. I'm not sure who these 3 people are at the end of the video, but hopefully, we'll get to meet them sometime in the future. However, it's worth mentioning that in the video's description, we find a lengthy poem. It reads, "Born upon nothing, when I had lived the last months of my days. I wondered if the winter hell was purgatory. Purgatory brought me new eyes, new brain, new ways of living, in every way that is against my creator's intent. I pry open my pores and pour gasoline into my skin, yet there is no match. It grows still in my veins. Strangers gaze at me in wonder. My only question is to ponder. What entertainment ensues? Watching maggots devour what's left, if there is even anything left. Man proposes, God disposes, this ship is sinking. Man proposes, God disposes, this ship is sinking. Promises of a new land not kept. I walk upon a fake earth and realize there's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. Affix the fake halo. Pretend I am ascended. Plastic fragile lights shine. The lights sing of a past I do not know anymore. But yet I long for their embrace. I am not gifted death. I am cursed with eternal life. This writing appears to be written by Sean, which makes sense given his confinement within nil space, and also the audience that Jake brought upon him. After being killed by Medulla and crowned by the spawn ring, he has been cursed with eternal life, forever stuck in this glass prison that he referred to in the Death Be Not Proud entry. Without further ado, let's move on to the next entry on the channel. Memory Capture 2 is an entry that I've already discussed on the channel before. It was for the I Has a Faceless Part 2 video. The reason is because she's here in this video. But looking at the video's runtime, it's 18 minutes long. But don't let that distract you because there isn't that much to talk about here. But I'll still give a rundown of important details. Jake and Sean are taking a tour around the cabin. This is the real game that you can find on JKC Spartan's profile. We soon come to find that this is the first ever recording of the cabin that we all know and recognize, taking place on January 13th, 2010. The majority of this video is the two of them walking around while the recording runs at 10 frames per second. All of a sudden, Faceless joins the game, and Jake welcomes her to his crib. And what do you know, the seats don't work again. If I had a nickel for every time a seat was broken in a Roblox web series, I'd have 3 nickels. But it's weird it happened thrice. I tried. The three of them continue to walk around and talk about random stuff, but when they get to the computer, Sean says that the flashing lights from the computer is bothering him. If these simple color changes are bothering him, I can only imagine what would have happened with Medulla. Everything else I explained in my Faceless Part 2 video. Looking at the description of the video, we can see some writing from Jake. It says, "I hope you're doing better wherever you are, Noah. Now Aubrey, I never knew how you felt until now. I understand." Another thing of note is an ASCII cipher at the bottom. It reads, "I cut down the fat for you, my dearies. Sean buried this deep." Overall, this video shows the relationships between both Jake and Sean and I As a Faceless. This video may seem unimportant, but by the lore we'll be seeing soon, this right here is super important. Next is a community post made on the same day. It shows jumbled characters. Putting this into the Library of Babel, we get the following. "I understand your impatience, my dearies. Trust me, they are as equally hungry as my own. But understand I cannot make your cup of tea until the temperature is just right. I'm sure you can understand the anticipation and immediate heavy disappointment of a cup of tea that tastes of scalding burning coals. Mind you, Sean never drank tea. In other words, I assume you have all figured out now with your thinking noggins that Jake was the one responsible for constructing such a wonderful shack. I can't say I was happy with what happened in it after a while, but property value does tend to fluctuate, I suppose. Have faith, keep an eye on the library, and peel back the layers until my arrival. Ta-ta." This seems to be someone else talking, maybe one of these users. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next entry. In the next memory capture entry, the video takes place on July 20th, 2013, and we can see someone playing Minecraft while listening to music. But eventually, the person gets a Skype call. Oh, Skype, the good old days. I was like 5 years old. He picks up the call and we find out the person recording is Sean and the person who called is Jake. Jake wonders if he's doing okay. Sean says he's doing fine and he's just looking for sheep in Minecraft. Meanwhile, he's walking in a desert. Why is that a problem? There's no sheep in a desert. Jake also wonders how Sean's head is feeling, and Sean says it's much better than before and he can actually play video games now. Jake also says that Sean hasn't been playing a lot of Roblox lately, and Sean says, "Shit gets old, honestly." Sean brings up that he has an appointment later this week, which would mark another appointment after many before it. But also, a little off topic, Sean decides not to use perfectly normal food in his inventory, but instead, he eats rotten flesh. Wow. Then Sean says this.
I'm like too cool to die like that. That sucked, man.
Yeah.
I think I'm just too cool to die.
Yeah, okay, buddy. Last but not least, Sean brings up that Rebecca has been good, and Jake says that Sean always talks about Rebecca.
Yeah, well, she's...
Giggle.
What?
Obviously, Sean had a thing for Rebecca at this time. We heard this before in the Convergence entry. After this, the video ends. The final thing related to this video is in the description. Translating this cipher, it says, he noticed. Finally. Think I might be pushing my luck. Let's go watch the next entry. I mentioned before that Rebecca had played Sail the High Seas back in December and recorded footage of what happened. Well, we finally got the footage released to the public and uploaded on Jake Colahan's channel. Let's see the footage of what happened to Rebecca described earlier. Rebecca finds the first button to open the gate, but all of a sudden, the game gets darker, which is something that doesn't happen at this point in the game. A white box appears in the middle of the screen. It says, Rebecca, the person who is talking, is Sean. Rebecca wonders if it's actually him, and Sean says yes. Rebecca wonders if he's okay and where is he, but Sean says, I don't want you seeing me like this. Rebecca wonders why and if he's hurt, and Sean says, it hurts. It hurts so bad. Rebecca wants to help Sean, but as we already know, it's too late. Rebecca tries to remind Sean about how she'd help him with his panic attacks 10 years ago, but Sean says this isn't like that. After this, Sean apologizes and the whole screen turns red and Rebecca is kicked from the game. The posts you're about to see went from January 5th to 12th. It's Rebecca mainly replying to people investigating the mystery alongside them. Without further ado, let's take a look at the posts. The first post is someone asking if she and Clyde are still in touch, and Rebecca says, kinda. The next post is wondering how she and Sean met. Rebecca says it was about 13 to 14 years ago in high school. Damn, they're old as hell. Sean made a joke that only Rebecca laughed at, and they met after class, and the rest is history. The next post is Rebecca saying that God owes her an apology for how things are now. The next post is Rebecca saying how, after Sean came back, he just keeps pushing her away, and she wants to feel like she's doing something right for once. Someone then asks if Rebecca has heard of JX1DX1 before, and Rebecca says no. The next post is where things get serious. Rebecca told Jake that she wants to investigate the studio files of Sail the High Seas further, and Jake said no, and her computer would get infected as well if she did so. Rebecca was confused because he never explained how, and the next post is a vote. The vote that will change the trajectory of this whole series. Rebecca gave us an option to either investigate further, which is risky, and to listen to Jake and avoid it at all costs. Let's see what people voted for. Are we serious? Y'all stupid as hell! What do you mean I voted for yes? The final two posts are Rebecca saying she'll be using a virtual computer and saying it's worth the risk. And it's from here where Seildirectory is going to get f***ing weird. For the next batch of sections from here on out, they all took place on the same day, January 12th, 2025. After Yes Risky won the poll, this video was uploaded to the Seildirectory channel. It begins with the following. The road to hell is always paved with good intentions. Everything and everyone wants me down a certain path. Jake was never in control. Rebecca was never in control. Clyde was never in control. I was never in control. What am I to you all? Risking Rebecca. Sean's response is a direct reaction to Yes Risky winning the poll. Yeah, who in their right mind would vote for that? After this, Sean begins to speak to us. I'll just let the whole speech play. Also epilepsy warning.
Just because you want more. What else do you people want from me? What else do I say to you? There is nothing here for you. Any of you. I am nothing but a blank slate of a person. But all you want
My ears. During the flashing images, we can see the Spawn logo, and by the reaction that Sean gives after this, the Spawn ring must have hurt him. I also want to mention the name Niobe. In Greek mythology, Niobe is a woman with 14 children. She boasted to the goddess Leto that her 14 children were better than hers. In Leto's rage, she ordered her 2 children to kill all 14 of her sons and daughters. In other words, Niobe put them all at risk by doing so. So what exactly are we doing here? Well, we're putting Rebecca at risk by making her investigate further, and it looks like we and Rebecca are going to pay the price. In the video's description, we can see a link to the poll that Rebecca posted, confirming that it's a direct response, and a message from Sean saying, "Leave me the f*** alone." Oh, I need to make this video somehow. I've decided to make a whole section dedicated to this very day. The main reason is that January 12th is the day that Seildirectory completely lost its original plot. It got weird, and I mean David Lynch weird. The next thing to happen after the Niobe entry was a community post. As the title of the post suggests, conversation between Rebecca's phone with Jake Colohan. Let's see what's revealed. It's a conversation between Rebecca and Jake back in 2021. Rebecca seems to be under a lot of stress at the moment, and we can see why. Because Rebecca says, "I lost him, the baby's gone. I'm hurting so much inside, I don't know what to say." By what's being said here, Rebecca had a miscarriage with a person named Ryan. We soon learn that Ryan is ignoring Rebecca because of this miscarriage, putting all the blame on her. Jake wonders if there's anything he can do to help, but Rebecca basically ignores Jake. She continues to say that she planned to name the baby Sean, but Rebecca says, "But I think even in rebirth, he didn't want to be alive." The next thing we have is Tumblr posts from Rebecca. These posts are Rebecca investigating Seildirectory like the viewers, not me, voted for. The first one is saying that there's nothing in the studio and she's confused. The only thing she found was an unclear, unintelligible code, but soon enough, Rebecca lied and there was more. The next post is someone warning Rebecca to get off Roblox. They don't want Rebecca to follow the same path as Jake. The user also sent the Niobe entry, and Rebecca says that she saw the video and it's all her fault. Another person replies by saying that it isn't her fault, it's all the f***ing pinheads who thought this would be a good idea. Yeah, you're right. For the people that voted yes, screw them. Someone wonders if Rebecca still has the unclear code, and Rebecca says that she'll give it to us, but also make sure to be safe while doing it. The next post is Rebecca saying not to look for Ryan. He's been out of my life for years, he's just an ex of mine. Yeah, a shitty ex. The next 3 posts are Rebecca saying that the place file changed, and she's going to find a file hosting site, and the final post is the file she was talking about. Let's take a look. Aw shit. We can now investigate this file. It shows a secret message of some hospital files from Rebecca. It says that she self-admitted to the hospital after she relapsed on her previous alcohol addiction. It also gives notes about Rebecca, saying that she's diagnosed with hebephrenic schizophrenia, Asperger's syndrome, and bipolar disorder. Alongside this, you can find a hex cipher, which reads the following: "God would be nothing without me. I am the church. I am the faith of the Lord, the lamb to the slaughter. I am the sacrifice that will purify the world." It continues to repeat this message. It also says, "Me and Sean almost started dating today. I think I like him too, but I don't know. He always seems so much closer to Jake. It'd feel weird coming between these two, but maybe they're more like brothers or something. We went to Patty's after. I told him that I'd think about it. I feel like maybe he's hiding something under all that happy-go-lucky energy he has. I'd hate to ruin it." Sean showed me a little pirate video he made on Movie Maker today. It was really cute. We know most of the things she's talking about here. Let's move on to the meeting that happens on the same day. Yes, on the same day of all these other events, a meeting took place. However, I would like to point out there is a problematic user who is heavily featured in some of these sections, especially this one. Instead of using their name, I'll refer to them as the Glutton. This user was the first person to get all the badges in Seildirectory. After doing so, they received a special message from a mysterious person. It says the following: "Greetings, Gluttony, or the Glut, whatever you prefer. Don't respond. This is a one-way communication, please keep this terminal open. You were the first documented to gain the 7th seal. Congrats! Unfortunately, that comes with being under the watchful eye of me and my friends. You and whoever you bring with you may prove to be useful in the near future. Sean isn't happy with me. He's a very scary enemy to make. You will know when your time comes. A video, a post, whatever. We will meet, dear. Eventually. Apologies for the vagueness. I wish I could say more, but I'm already on ice that is quickly melting. Ta-ta! If you were paying attention, we've seen writing from this mysterious user before. We can tell by the ta-ta at the end of the communication, and by the looks of that post, we'll be meeting this user soon. And well, here we are. Gluttony gathered some friends and went to this meeting. The meeting took place in a secret game on Directory User 2's account, but we'll talk about this game later. This meeting is very long. As always, I'll summarize what's going on and important things stated. First off, we can see that the account being used to play this mysterious user is Directory User 2, which was Rebecca's before she abandoned it out of fear. So the Directory User 2 account is now being used as a vessel or a host. This user refers to themselves as Echo or the Conductor. We've seen Echo before in the fragmentation entry alongside 2 others. Maybe we'll see them later. Echo also introduces the area that they're in, which is a safe place that Sean can't interact with, and is also made with the same cloth as the portal room in Sail the High Seas. Echo also states that Medulla has been there since the very beginning, predating Sean's entering into the null space. Speaking of Sean, Echo also tells us that Sean's spawn ring rotates when affected by extreme emotions. Echo also mentions that the weird things in the background of fragmentation are previous iterations of Sean, and more exist currently. For example, Sean at the end of Snowball Brawl 1 was not the Sean we currently see. The final things mentioned are that the program Jake and Sean were working on was complex. Echo saying, "You're all inside something greater than your understanding." Echo wonders what exactly we're looking for here. That's a great question, actually. And finally, to not make the same mistake that Noah, now Aubrey, did. That's the end of this meeting. Guys, when do you think this happened? If you guessed January 12th, 2025 at 8:51 p.m., you would be right. The user LimeDot was playing Snowball Brawl 1 when the Directory User 2 account joined the game, but this time it wasn't Echo, it was another fragment seen in the fragmentation entry on the right. Looking at the footage, the fragment we know as PAINBODY seems to be very shy, often trying to avoid interactions with the players in-game. But as the interaction goes on, PAINBODY seems to warm up to Lime. Soon enough, text pops up on the screen saying, "I've modified the exit, come." Lime follows PAINBODY, but there doesn't seem to be anything different than the usual gameplay of Snowball Brawl 1. We've met Echo, we've met PAINBODY, now the only fragment that's left is the fragment on the left, respectively. Hopefully we see this fragment later on. At the same time, Jake friended someone by the name of Samuel FERN Williams, who sounds familiar. Let's move on. We have got more posts from Rebecca, but this time it isn't looking so good. The first post is Rebecca saying that she awoke in a cold sweat from a nightmare. She also says that she's been avoiding computers entirely. The next post is someone saying that going into the portal room in Sail the High Seas, a message from Echo can be seen saying the following: strange to find you here, my dear, but I'll allow it, but you owe me more than you already do. By the way, to experience everything again, you have to give back the seals, or badges as it appears on the page. I would say more, but I believe I've said enough. Ta-ta. Rebecca has no clue who this is or what room this comes from. The user also wonders if it was Rebecca playing Snowball Brawl 1 earlier, and she says, also, no, that's odd. The next post is Rebecca saying that someone seems to be inside her computer. The post after this is Rebecca saying that she awoke to her computer all red and playing Portishead. At least whoever is in the computer has a good music taste. The next post is Rebecca saying to Sean, "Sean, I know you're listening. Spare me, please." And the final Tumblr post we see is an image named God Won't Save Us.jpg and a message from Echo that Rebecca had read. "Hello, Rebecca dearest. Sorry that I woke you up at such an ungodly hour. Sean and I had another squabble. You know how he is. Also, your computer is compromised. Rebecca is gone. She has disappeared, and we won't see her for the rest of the video." Let's move on. Okay, this section is really cool. If you remember, Glutton invited 3 people to attend this meeting, and the 4 of them discovered that Sean left them all nice separate messages for each of the attendees of the first Echo meeting. In Glutton's version of the voice note, Sean tells him to stay away from Echo because, as Sean states, he is not to be trusted, he is using you and your friends as pawns. In Carpet's voice note, Sean says not to trust Glutton. Bro knew. And again, not to trust Echo. In Fork Dude's voice note, Sean says that Fork Dude stayed mostly silent during the meeting, which he did. It gives Sean the idea that Fork Dude doesn't know what he's looking for, and once again, suggests not to trust Echo. And finally, Dragon's voice note, the most important. Sean says that Dragon and he are similar in a way, this way being they both investigated paranormal events. What did Dragon investigate? Bam! I think. Sean also says, but people like you are the ones who keep poking at places where they shouldn't be. Another thing, one of the 4 attendees discovered something in the dev console. It seems to be a different person trying to communicate with us. They seem to have a different typing style as well, ending their sentences with underscores. Maybe this is another fragment. They say, hello, I am not sure how to work this. Bear with me. There has been troublesome events. Echo has disappeared, left no note. I suspect foul play, but I am not sure why this occurred. My friend has been shaking ever since. Bad feeling all around. I suspect you do not care, but if you do, prepare to hold up your end of the agreement. It seems like this unknown fragment and PAINBODY need our help. Also, Echo doesn't seem like the fragment we want to trust. They've caught Rebecca, and they may find us if we follow the same path. We're finally out of the month of January. This month is less eventful than the previous one. However, there is still a substantial amount of content to discuss. Without further ado, let's begin the month of February. The first event in the month was a meeting in Snowball Brawl 1. Once again, the Directory User 2 account is being used as a vessel. First it was Echo, second was PAINBODY, and this time it's Sean that's using it. Let's take a look at this meeting. Sean was discovered in Snowball Brawl 1 next to the computer screen. He turns around and begins to talk to the recorder, saying that they talk about him like he's an alien. Sean also mentions that he ended up here by accident, and his problems have nothing to do with the 2 of them. Cheshire questions what he means by that, and Sean explains that he tried to sleep again. Glutton says, sleep and you end up in the game of yours. Sean responds by saying that's somewhat true, but dreams usually have an ending, suggesting the constant lucid dreaming that Sean experiences, which I mentioned in the recap. But then, Jake joins. Jake wonders where Sean is, and the 2 of them meet outside. Jake says that Sean is responsible for Rebecca, and Sean makes the point that Jake led her down this path in the first place. Jake responds by saying that Sean doesn't know the depth of his actions because he's lost the human aspects of emotion. In the first meeting we covered, Jake had the same perspective as he did here. Rebecca, on the other hand, still kept the human side of Sean, which led her down a dark path that caused her great pain. Speaking of Rebecca, whatever happened when Echo told her that her computer was hijacked, it caused her to end up in a respirator and a bed. As Jake states, I tried to imagine you were human to some degree, but I think that part of you is nil. Succumbed to that space and outraged. Sean says it's bold coming from his torturer. Sean continues by saying, so now I'm your devil to condemn, your creation. You brought me back and talked about me like I'm a wounded animal. You're right, I'm not human. I'm something above you. I always has been. Jake says that he's just an imitation of the real Sean, and Sean doesn't deny this, but says that he's something greater than the human Sean. The altercation between the 2 of them ends like this. Jake says he's going to put an end to whatever Sean is doing, and Sean responds by saying, you can't kill something that's already dead. Try your best, boy. I'll be waiting. Damn, I wouldn't take that. Let's move on. The next entry on the Seildirectory channel is a YouTube short. Damn sellouts. Anyway, let's look at the next entry. I already forget how to pronounce it. Anastylosis. The definition is a method of restoring a ruined structure by using its original fragments. These can relate to the fragments and Sean. The fragments are respectively fragments of Sean, and altogether they could be what Sean once was before meeting Medulla. We can hear Sean talking in the background. He says, a part of me wonders if even the concept of God and angels have the same disease of being human. The video becomes super loud. A screen then appears and we can see the the words, "All unsaved progress will be lost. Are you sure you want to quit?" and then an option between yes and no. But between both options, yes disappears and no still remains for a while. Perhaps this relates to us, the audience, wondering the question if whether continuing is the best option for the characters, like what happened after Rebecca. Should we really continue? Yes. Another thing of note is that something that looks like a maze appears. Maybe this will hold some importance later. In the description of the entry, we can see a Vigenère cipher. The way to decipher this is using the code Anastylosis. It says, "It has been so long since you had been found." Anyway, let's move on. In this meeting, we meet someone who we're all familiar with already, the oh-so-great growing Ferns from Eye as a Facials. But as I mentioned before, his username this time is Samuel Fern Williams. Let's cover this meeting. Fern has returned to Roblox after getting in contact with Jake and hearing about the recent events on the Seildirectory channel. As he says, he wanted to know more, and he hasn't seen anything like this in years. We also find out that Fern is 26 years old. Damn. Some ask Fern if him and Facials are still in contact, but Fern says that the both of them had a complicated time. Jake then joins the server, and the two of them talk about Facials and how Jake hasn't spoken to her in around 10 years. But Fern says he might be able to get the two of them in contact again because Fern has Facials' email. Fern informs Jake that Facials still has his YouTube channel up, and Jake will investigate it later. Fern then says that his old account, which we see on Eye as a Facials, has been password guessed. This is also the same with Jake's account, XXIX, which is why Jake can't update the cabin game that they're in. It's because of this that Sean now has control over the XXIX account. This is how the cabin game became public in the first place. The last things mentioned are that Fern has some unreleased things to show Jake, and we can all call Fern Sam instead. That's everything this meeting mentions. Let's move on. We're finally back to the Jake Colohan channel. And look, he finally got his laptop fixed. Hopefully it doesn't break in the future. Anyways, this video was Jake taking a look at Facials' channel like he said he would in the last entry. Jake says that he first heard of Facials through a forum post of Facials saying that her game is haunted, which we already know from the Facials videos that we've seen. And Jake, looking at the videos now, says that they're really weird. He first shows us the announcement video of Fern leaving Roblox. Jake then shows us the drawing video from Facials. And finally, he shows us the Nickel Builds Bricks Reuploads video. This video has now been remade. After the video ends, Jake says that Fern will be sending stuff his way to prove his theories, but at the moment, he believes that this has something to do with Sean, and Sean has something to do with JX1DX1. But that's not everything though. If you look at the tabs that Jake has open, we can first see Jake's Gmail account, and then we see an Imgur link that takes us to this image. The image is of Echo. In the description, we can decipher something. Doing this, it reads, "Await further prompts." This is Echo talking to us to wait for their next move. Let's go ahead and move on to the next entry. This video is of Sean and Jake playing Flood Escape, a very nice switch up compared to the last couple of events. Both of them and many more friends are trying their hardest to escape each level. All of them complete a round and decide that they're going to try hard mode, but when they go into the elevator to begin the round, this happens. The two of them are left confused about what's going on. Sean checks the players list and sees that the two of them are the only ones left in the game, even though many others were in the elevator as well. Jake shrugs off this whole event as a bug, but all of a sudden, the screen turns red, and someone else can be seen in the players list. Both of them see who this user is. Their name is Macabre. Macabre greets them. Howdy. Sean wonders who he is. He responds by saying, Macabre, for a while anyways. Looking up the meaning of Macabre, it represents something horrifying or gruesome, often relating to death. Macabre is often represented as a skeleton figure, and well, look at Macabre's avatar. Jake and Sean are left confused. Macabre says, I know what you two are trying to do. I ask of you to stop. Sean realizes what he's talking about and wonders if Macabre is mentioning the program that the two of them have been working on. Macabre responds by saying, whatever you want to call it. You're looking into something that should be left untouched. You two are playing with dynamite. Sean then says says that this is like FaceLol's situation all over again, and then Sean reveals the whole motive behind what the two of them are working on. He says, "We're just trying to figure out what happened that led to that." Macabre then says that the two of them are looking for trouble. "It's very clear that you two don't know what you're looking for, so I ask you to think about it." Macabre speaks further by saying, "If you keep trying to interact or interfere with this space that's not intended for you, you will see me one more time. If not, you won't see me or remember me. When you wake up tomorrow, you will forget this, and fate will run its course. Good night." Macabre disappears after this. The two of them are left in shock after what they've just seen. They decide to investigate the hallway in which he came, and the game begins to play a loud noise, and eventually, Sean leaves the game. But in the final seconds of the video, subtitles pop up on the screen saying, "The road to hell is paved with bites." And after that, that's the end of the entry. What Macabre did here was a warning sign for the both of them. Sean and Jake were investigating JX1 DX1 to help out FaceLols. In doing so, they made a very big mistake. And Macabre warns the two of them that if they continue, bad things will happen to them. And as we already know, Sean continued down the road to hell that's paved with bites, and ended up paying the price for it. In the comments of the video, Seildirectory makes a comment saying the following: "Memory capture complete. Notes damaged. Null instance Macabre seen. Await further orders." This seems to be from Echo, and Macabre is what is called a null instance. After that, it's the end of the entry. After what we saw in the last entry, there seems to be a lot more things about the nil space that we are yet to discover. After the appearance of Macabre, it really makes us think about what we know for sure about these characters and their motives. In the next section, we have a very important game that opens many doors for the characters, the story, and for our own interpretation. But I think we'll leave that off for part 3. To end this video, I would like to read something written by Macabre himself. It's on a document that covers the majority of events that I covered in this video, simply titled Note by Macabre. I became aware of Sean and Jake's tinkering when they held open a remote interface for 15 minutes. It was alarming to me. This had been something Medulla pursued as a way to gain power in nil space. Remote interfaces practically grant network ownership upon startup, and through that, the possibilities of permanently altering data in the real world. Like Sean had warned the user Dragon, he was discovering something that he shouldn't have, a discovery that could be only used for malicious purposes, something humanity as a whole isn't ready for. The average human mind already wasn't capable enough to handle the internet on a constant stream. As is the nature of the internet and their infinite perversion with tragedy, the more attention this gets, the more this game of telephone becomes tangled, information becomes jumbled and confused, the complexities of personalities and people wiped from incompetence and misunderstandings of third parties. Sean predicted this, the last phone call in Sail the High Seas. You all must remember that your perception molds what reality is for Sean, Jake, Rebecca, the fragments, everyone. The internet is an unconscious collective. The internet is the only place where truth becomes post-truth, where information can be posted and lost forever. A tree going down where no one hears it is a tree that never existed in the first place. Be wise, be gentle, be vigilant. Something beautiful will come of this. And well, we'll just have to wait and see on what that is. And until I return with Seildirectory Part 3, thank you for watching.